check that out, man. We had a couple interesting topics on that one. But yeah, guys, like I said in the last live, I'm gonna be speaking about my testimony in this live, man. And I'm gonna leave it up, obviously, so everybody watching on replay, you guys can see it, and make sure you guys show some love, man. I realize it's gonna be a lot more difficult than I thought it was to get all my normal followers from TikTok to YouTube. I'm starting to realize I'm gonna have to message them, right? But yeah, we're just gonna take it one day at a time, man. Like always, guys, I'm Loyal Link Lenny, and let's get into it. So, who am I? Well, it's gonna be a lot to tell you guys. So I'll just start at the beginning. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts. I currently live in Florida now, but we'll get up to that. I was born in Boston originally. I lived with my mother in a Section 8 housing. So I grew up in poverty. Number one, grew up in the hood, grew up in poverty. I lived with my mother in Savin Hill, Boston, until I was about, let's say, 9 years old, maybe 12 years old. But eventually what ended up happening is I got taken away by the state, right? So when I was really young, I ended up going into the foster care system, obviously. And that basically took my whole childhood from me. But before that could happen, I was able to get a couple years of being a normal kid, I would say. Maybe like 3-4 years, which is a blessing. I think that's where I get my best qualities, honestly. I think that's where I got, learn my manners, my respect, basically just all my good qualities, man. Which basically happened was I was bouncing around in the foster care system and group homes in Boston for I don't remember how long. I was really young. And eventually what happened was my papa, which is my dad's, my biological father's father, right? And his name's Lenny too. And so is my biological father. Basically what happened was my papa was a Vietnam vet and he served time in the military and he was a really good man. He's very quiet, right? Didn't really talk a lot. You could tell he's been through a lot. But basically, hey, what's up, Autumn? Guys, make sure you hit that like button, guys. I'm going to be giving you a powerful testimony right now, guys. So, and I'm going to leave it up on my account so you guys can watch on replay, man. So, like I was saying before, guys, I'm a targeted individual. And everything in my life, which has been trauma after trauma after trauma after trauma, over and over, right? My whole entire life since my childhood. Eventually, it ended with me being targeted by secret societies and cults, If that was, like, you would think, if anyone looked at me in my life, they'd be like, all right, this motherfucker's been through enough. Oh, he's been through what? He's been through this, that, and oh, hell no, he's been through enough right now. Nope. They said, what? Turn it up. They said, yo, keep it going. He hasn't been through enough yet, right? And I got my own little theories for that. I appreciate that. MK Clove, shout out to you guys. Make sure you guys share this. And I'm going to give you my full testimony. I'm going to get really vulnerable with you guys. I'm not going to leave anything out. I'm going to tell the parts that, make me look bad. I'm going to tell the parts that other people, probably say, oh, you shouldn't say that. No, I'm going to say it because it's the truth. It's the truth, guys. And that's all I've been doing. Especially getting targeted, obviously has been a part of the Most High God's plan as well. So I have to believe that this has been for a reason. Maybe it's to get me on here, to get me in front of you guys, to share my testimony and speak out about all the stuff I've seen and all the stuff I know. So we're going to start from the beginning, guys. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Like I said, I'm Loyal Link Lenny. I'm going to leave this live up so you guys can watch on replay as well. So I love you too. I was born in Boston, Massachusetts, if you can't tell by my accent, right? And I was born into poverty, man. I was born in a poverty-stricken neighborhood, Dorchester, Mass. Fucking, drugs everywhere, gangs everywhere. Like all that shit was normal to me, right? And even growing up in my later years, it was normal to me, right? Which led to a lot of the choices I made, a lot of the bad choices I made, which then again, wasn't my fault, right? I still took accountability. I still did everything I did. Guys, let me know if you guys can see me in the chat. Usually this happens when, I come on here to speak a very powerful testimony. The enemy likes messing with my chat, right? Especially because they're really upset because these secret societies and cults, they got my live access revoked on TikTok. So now I'm on YouTube doing it all over again. Oh, you're born in Russia? Shout out to Russia. I always thought Russia was good, If America is saying Russia's bad, I'm like, it must be good. That's what I believe. So, anyways, guys, I was born in Boston, Massachusetts, until I got taken away by the state. So I got taken away by the state because they found out my mother was smoking crack and doing like a bunch of drugs and shit, right? She was letting me run around Dorchester, like I was running all around the city, getting into trouble, and I was really young too. And basically, I missed like 108 days of school. I remember the exact amount just because of how traumatizing all of it was, right? I was getting abused and shit. Like my mother would have like boyfriends over, like, she'd have like drug dealers, like boyfriends who would beat me up and do a bunch of crazy shit like that. And I was a little kid, so I couldn't defend myself, right? And eventually it led to me getting taken away. And when I got taken away, I was in something called the foster care system. It's bad in Russia. You know what? It's bad in everywhere, Autumn. I'm starting to realize that, right? So, anyways, I ended up getting taken away, and I was in the foster care system. And if you know anything about that, it's terrible. You don't want your kid going in there. I'm telling you. They're gonna like abuse your kids. Like your kids are gonna go through unspeakable things in the foster care system. So if you can stop that, please listen to me. And I'm telling you because I spent basically my whole childhood in the foster home. Grown adults, grown men were like restraining me and shit and pulling my arm behind my head and rubbing my face into carpets. That was my childhood, right? But before that happened, my grandparents took me in, or they tried to at least, right? So my papa, like I was saying, was a Vietnam vet, very, very great man. He used to be an alcoholic, and he turned his life around. He got divorced to my blood grandmother, which was my Mimi, right? And eventually he remarried, which was my grandmother, which, has been around mostly my whole life. But she was my step-grandmother. Basically, she was the one that was around, though, She was the one that visited me in the foster care system and took me out on visits and stuff. So she was like my legal guardian when I was a kid. So anyways, what happened was my papa wanted to take me out of Boston to give me a better life. Like, that was the plan. That's what he wanted for me. He wanted me to grow up as a normal kid. He wanted to get me away from my mother. He wanted to get me away from, the hood, all that shit. And he was from Roxbury. So he was from Roxbury, Boston, and he took me out of Boston and out of the system and got guardianship of me for about 3 or 4 years. And then suddenly he ended up dying. And I'm not going to go into the whole testimony behind that, but it messed me up as a kid a lot. So really, it fucked me up bad. It made me very angry, right? Because when he died, I like to call it a crossroads in my life because it was a very pivotal moment that changed my life forever. That's what doomed me to the system. Him dying, which I kind of think was very convenient. Now that everything I know about secret societies, everything I know about cults, he just died randomly at 56. They say he had an infection and he wasn't supposed to eat. And then the nurse gave him a sandwich and he died. I don't know about that, but that's the story. So I'm so sorry, sweetheart, that you are going through all that stuff. It's heartbreaking. Thank you, McClove. Yo, McClove, who is that? Do I know you? Have I talked to you before? But anyways, guys, what ended up happening was when he died, guess what? I had to go right back into the system as a little kid. Oh, it's Melissa? Okay. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure, right? So what I was saying, guys, is when he passed away randomly and very suspiciously, looking good, appreciate that. When he passed away, I went right back into the system. So I was right back in the foster care system. I started bouncing around group homes and foster homes all over New Hampshire, right? Because when I don't know if I told you guys this. When my papa took me in, he took me out of Boston and he moved to New Hampshire in like this little cul-de-sac because he was trying to give me a normal life. He wanted to give me a normal life. He wanted to get me away from all the crazy shit, right? And that's like, I think where how I got my best qualities, why I got such a big heart, why I'm so, I'm so loving and basically all my good qualities. So, I got to have a couple of years, I would say, of a normal childhood, which is better than nothing, but that ended very abruptly. I barely remember that, but I try to remember the good years. But eventually what happened was I got sent right back into the system. And I must have been to 13 foster homes, fucking 15 group homes, and constantly moving around my whole entire life, right? Backflip. I don't do gymnastics, but I bet there's other lives where someone can do that. I don't know how to do parkour. This is just like the caption says, it's about my testimony. So if you don't want to hear about the Most High God and my testimony and everything I've been through, then I don't think this live's for you. But what ended up happening is I went to a group home, got kicked out of that group home for bad behavior, got kicked out of that foster home for bad behavior. I used to run away a lot. I used to be like Job. Not Job, wait. Is it Job? No, not Job, I'm sorry. Jonah. I used to be like Jonah, always running away and shit, right? So I used to always run away and stuff, and I was like Jonah every time. Just run away. They put me in a new foster home. I ran away because I was so desperate to get back to my family. So I used to run away my whole childhood every time. That must have been thousands of times I ran away. And then I would have full-grown staff members running after me and shit. So I'd have a bunch of staff members chasing me and tackling me and shit. That's why, like, if you're a kid and you had to go through that shit, that's abuse. And now you see all this stuff coming out where all these group homes and all these foster homes are getting sued and shit. Yeah, I was a part of that shit. I was going through that same shit that they're talking about, right? Getting punched in my face by grown men. Crazy shit. So, fast forward a couple of years later, I'm just going to skip, but basically a lot of the trauma in my life already happened in group homes. I was a troublemaker too when I was a kid, obviously, because I was in group homes and stuff, right? So I was a troublemaker. Can you not cuss? I'm only 10. Well, you shouldn't be in this live chat then, because this chat's for 18 and over. So I don't know where your mommy and daddy are, but you shouldn't be in this live chat. It's against the rules. This live chat's for people 18 and up. So I'm not your parent. Sorry about that, But anyways, what ended up happening is after the group homes, after the foster homes, which already gave me a lot of trauma, right? A lot of trauma and a lot of anger. I eventually aged out of the system when I was 17 years old. So I aged out of the system when I was 17 years old, and I had to basically they threw me out on the streets. So you got to think about it like this, guys, right? If I just spent all the years of my childhood in the foster care system, in group homes, wilding out, getting restrained, getting into fights, fighting staff member, fighting grown men, my whole childhood, and then they threw me out when I was 17, what do you think was going to happen? Right? Yes, I was going to get in trouble. It was doomed. I was doomed to fail as soon as they threw me out of the foster care system. So as soon as that happened, I went to my mother's. And I told you guys my mother was an addict, right? My mother's fucking crazy. R.I.P. I'll eventually get into what happened to her. But what ended up happening was I moved in back with my mother, and she was living in a Section 8 apartment in Quincy, Massachusetts. You are beyond wise. I appreciate that, Melissa. I'm glad you were able to stop by and make it. I'm glad, I got you listening to my testimony right now. So, what ended up happening is I was 17 years old, aged out of the system, moved back in with my mother's, and I must have been on the lowest vibration because I operated in straight chaos. My mother threw a party every single day over her house, and she used to kick me out. If I didn't have drugs or money to give her, my mother would kick me out. That's how I used to get into trouble. That's why I started robbing drug dealers, because my mother used to tell me if I didn't have drugs to give her, if I didn't have coke to give her and all this shit to give her, then I was on the streets. And it was snowing too, so a lot of the times I'd have to sleep in a snowbank. I used to have to make a pillow out of the snow, and I was only 17, 18. And that's when I started to make very bad choices out of desperation, out of necessity, right? And heartbreaking, I appreciate that, right? But I'm giving you guys the full testimony, right? I gotta give you guys the full truth to basically reveal how I got to where I am now. Because a lot of people say, they're like, yo, you're so strong, or yo, you're this, you're that. And I'm like, you're so wise. I'm like, listen, I wasn't always like this. I wasn't always like this. I had to go through so much, and I had to basically overcome the world almost. Things that normal people don't have to overcome, right? And that's why I'm at the level I'm at now, and I'm only 28, right? So a lot of people say that to us. They say, oh, I wish I had your strength. I'm like, no, you don't. Because you don't want to know how we got here, right? Yeah, see, Melissa, they say that to us all the time. Like, oh, I wish I was as strong. I'm like, no, you don't, because you don't know what it cost. You don't know what you have to do to get this. It's nothing you want to do. It's nothing no average person ever wants to do, right? You have to get broken, and you have to feel such a level of pain that's unbearable to even move, to even talk, right? And then when you do that, then you finally level up to where the pain doesn't hurt anymore. And then eventually that same pain and suffering eventually turns into strength. It turns into power. You learn how to transmute that. You learn how to take that pain and that power, and that's when the Most High God, when you finally overcome that, when you finally get through everything you were destined to go through, then you start leveling up. Then your spirit, your gifts start activating. You start getting psychic. You start being able to read everyone, because you can see the pain in others. You know what I mean, guys? Yup, people always judge me, but I went through the same. Yeah, they judge you. I was just telling someone this. They judge you because they don't want to look at themselves. It's much easier pointing the finger at us than for them to look in the mirror. So a lot of the time, that's where all this projecting comes from. That's where all this hate and this jealousy and this envy and this insecurity comes from. And we're able to see that too. So it's like, I can't even hate the person. I can't even get mad at the person, because I get it.